Welcome to the Doctor's Life Podcast with Ansari-Winn and Dr. Dr. Diane is a coach for doctors. With her 15 years of experience as an anesthesiologist and certification as a physician development coach, Dr. Diane coaches doctors on how to live a rich life of purpose, fulfillment, freedom, and happiness both at work and at home. In this podcast, Dr. Diane brings together doctors and researchers that are experts in health, wellness, stress, and burnout, as well as doctors that have been successful in clinical practice, academics, non-clinical careers, and business to share their expertise and life experience so that you can live your own life purpose, fulfillment, freedom, and happiness. To get free access to a PDF and video of easy and proven strategies that melt stress away and keep it away, simply register at www.dianeansari-winn.com. That's www.dianeansari-winn.com. Now here is your host, Dr. Diane Ansari-Winn.
Hi, it's Dr. Diane here, and I have a quick request before we jump into the show. If you like this podcast, it would mean so much if you took just a moment to hop over to iTunes, write a review, and rate the show. That is how other people will find the show and get the same great value from it that I hope that you're getting. It just takes a few moments to click a star rating and write a quick note. Now, on to the show.
Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to the Doctor's Life Podcast. Today, we have a very special guest, Dr. Draion Burch, who's also known as Dr. Drai. He's an OBGYN, and he was born and raised in southern Mississippi. He earned his undergraduate degree from Xavier University in Louisiana and his DO from the Ohio University. And he completed his internship and residency at Michigan State University, right down the street from where I grew up in Lansing, Michigan. He's really active in women's health policy initiatives at the national level. Dr. Drai has served on the Board of Trustees for the American Osteopathic Association and the American College for Osteopathic Obstetricians and Gynecologists. Dr. Drai is frequently called upon by local and national TV, print, radio, and online media to give a fresh perspective and new information on women's health trends. Dr. Drai is also the founder and chief medical advisor of drdrai.com. He's the CEO of Medical Moguls, a company that coaches doctors on how to build profitable businesses based on their purpose. And last but certainly not least, he's the owner of Amare Concierge, where he's creating a new standard of healthcare for women. Welcome, Dr. Drai. It's so good to have you on the Doctor's Life Podcast to talk about medical entrepreneurship.
Thank you so much for having me. Yay.
I love your enthusiasm. Yay. First, before we kick it off, we're going to talk about your journey into medicine and how you got where you are.
So it all started when I was 6 years old. So my grandmother used to clean houses for doctors, and she used to take me along with her. And I like to go to the doctors' houses because I like to play with the toys, with the kids' toys, right? Because they always have the best toys. So one day, one of her clients let me listen to my heart with a stethoscope, right? And I fell in love. I was very mesmerized by that sound of the beating of the heart, and I knew that I wanted to be a doctor. I knew I wanted to be a healer. I knew that I wanted to make people feel better. So I started going on this path of wanting to be a doctor. So I graduated top of my high school class, undergrad class, medical school, residency. I landed my first job managing 10 offices at a non-for-profit healthcare system, delivering over 5,000 babies, doing over 2,000, 3,000 surgeries. But I wasn't happy. I was the type of doctor that would go to the door of the hospital and immediately felt anxiety. I was the doctor when my pager would go off, I didn't want to get out of the car.
Yeah.
Right? I wasn't happy. And it all started, I think one of the biggest thing that happened to me, after a 36-hour shift, catching all these babies, delivering all these babies, I fell asleep driving home. And that was a really scary time for me because I could have died. So all of my training, all of my education I've done my whole life could have been just taken away from me by just that one moment, right?
Yeah.
One moment. And I was woken up by a police officer that I knew because I delivered his baby. He was like, Dr. Drai, Dr. Drai, Dr. Drai. I was like, oh, hey, what's going on, dude? He's like, are you okay? You're on the side of an interstate. I was on the side of a major interstate asleep. Nothing was wrong with my car. Nothing was wrong with my body. I was literally touched by an angel. Nothing was wrong with me at all. I just got in my car and drove back to work, went into the office, and pretended like nothing ever happened.
Oh, my goodness.
Literally, that was the wake-up moment when I said, hey, there's more than just medicine. I'm more than just a doctor. You know, there's something out there that's bigger than me that I must find, right? Mm-hmm. So doctors were already coming to me, asking me how to blog, how to do media, how to speak for pay, how to be brand ambassadors, how to build businesses, because I did all those things, but I just ignored them. I would say, oh, you know, I'm too busy, I'm working. I was so into work that I would just ignore other doctors that would come to me. So God was putting those people in my face to tell me what I was supposed to do. But I was just so blinded by what I thought a doctor should be. Because, you know, we all want this white picket fence, 2.5 kids with the dog, married. You know, that's what a perfect life of a doctor looks like. That's what we dream about when we're medical students. We're like, well, one day we're going to make all this money, we're going to be happy, we're going to be married, we're going to have kids, and everything's going to be great. Well, sometimes it doesn't work out like that, right?
Right. The vast majority of the time it doesn't work like that.
It doesn't, exactly.
Because when you talk to most doctors, they don't have that kind of a life.
Yeah, and the thing is, God has to put us through things to open our eyes. So I always tell my students this, there's purpose in your pain. Whatever the most painful thing that's occurred to you, there's a reason why that has occurred, right? Mm-hmm. So pay attention to that. Don't run away from it. Learn to tell your story, the true story, the authentic story, the story that you don't want people to know. Be okay with telling that story, because there's a reason why God put you through those steps, so you can help someone else through those steps. So now, because I went through those things, I'm a 3-time best-selling author, national speaker. I run a very robust virtual business school for doctors, teaching them how to monetize their medical degree outside of the hospital. I started a concierge medicine practice where I've exchanged basically taking care of 30 patients a day to 8 patients a year with the same income. And if I want to make extra, I go and contract myself for hospitals, because I want to deliver babies and have fun, right? If I want to make extra. I basically practice medicine on my own terms, and my whole goal is to be more than just a doctor. And I remember one of my colleagues, my first job, he was 70, and we were partners in a group, and he said, Dr. Drai, I'm not like you. When I die, all I will be known for is being a doctor. You're different, and I'm happy that you're different, and I'm happy to know you. And that really touched me when he said that. And literally the next week, someone died at the university, and they sent out this email.
This doctor who'd been there for so long.
Forever died, and then that was it. And everyone went on with their day. And I was like, this cannot be me. This is not what I'm on earth to do, is for someone just to send out an email. That's not my legacy. I must create my own.
Mm-hmm. What you have going on is very dynamic, and in a lot of fields where you're able to have influence. Let's talk about how you became a speaker and started to spread your message. You talk primarily about women's health. How did you get started in the media? I'm sure a lot of doctors are interested in how to go about doing that themselves.
Everybody wants to be a celebrity doctor, right? So to get started speaking, I used to speak at my high school, my undergrad, medical school, residency. So I was chief resident. So I've been speaking basically my whole life, being in these leadership positions. Mm-hmm. So that's my first thing I would tell doctors. If you want to get into speaking, go to where you're known. So go to your high school, go to your undergrad, go to your residency, go to where you did your internship, right? Because people know you there and they'll let you have the platform. And then you want to transition to what I did in your specialty college. So I'm an OBGYN, so I would speak at the national conferences because I was known. I was active in on a national level with changing the face of women's health. So you need to get active to have access, not only to change the specialty for the better, but in order to get your voice onto the stage. So I would definitely say that's how you start your speaking career. So now I have a speaking page on my website. So people book me to speak. I'm probably booked maybe 3 to 4 times per quarter. But it used to be a little bit more frequent, but now I've kind of scaled back. So 3 to 4 times per quarter. And speaking is very lucrative, doctors. You can get paid anywhere between $3,500 to $15,000 for one speech. So it's very lucrative. Get out there, practice, get your feet wet so you can make those big bucks. So with the media, I actually hired a manager. So don't do this. This is bad.
Okay.
Don't do this. So I hired a manager to get myself out there. Don't do that, because a lot of times this manager that I hired was not that expensive now that I look back, but back then it was very expensive. So, doctors were easy targets, right? So you can hire these publicists. They may charge you $3,000 a month, $5,000 a month, or even, the New York publicists, people that help you get in the media, can charge $10,000 a month. So we're easy targets because we're trusting and we're nice and we're altruistic, and we think other people are like that, and they're not like us. Doctors, they are not like us, okay? So they're not always there to help you. And getting in the media is not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed. It's trial and error. So I actually hired somebody to help me at first. And then once I got used to it and people saw me on TV, on the radio, and they loved my personality, then more people kept calling. So I'll probably get media people call me literally every day of my life. Now I'm able to pick and choose. In the beginning, don't pick or choose. Do everything, because you never know who's connected to who in the media world. So you never know. So you may have someone may interview you for this blog on their website. Well, that person that owns the blog may be editor of 17 magazine. You just never know, because they still have their own passions outside of the main magazines and radio and television. So you just never know. So I would say do everything that you can in the beginning. I wouldn't hire somebody. If I had to do it all over again, I would connect with my local market. So let's say if I lived in Phoenix, Arizona, I will look for a local station in Phoenix, Arizona, and actually send them an email to say, hey, I want to talk about this on your show. If I could do it all over again. I spent a lot of money getting in the media, a lot. I've been in the media over 250 times, but I've spent a lot of money. And if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't have spent any money. I would have just went to, connected with someone on the local level and say, hey, give me a shot. I'm a women's health expert. I want to talk about this hot topic in the media right now.
So there's a couple things that I hear you speaking to. One is kind of circling back a little bit to speaking gigs. It's the same principle where, your high school is probably not going to pay you to speak, but it gives you a chance to refine your message, find out what you want to talk about, but also what's interesting to audiences. And the stakes aren't as high, right? Especially if you're not a natural born speaker. Then you have a chance to, it's kind of like, I kind of look at it like being a comedian. You're kind of working on your material.
Exactly. You're working on your materials, you're getting your voice out there, and you're really trying to find out, your platform. And you need practice. So go back to your high school, go back to college, go back to med school, right? Go back to residency. Those are places that you are familiar. You were like a rock star. You're like
the rock
superstar person. You're a superstar doctor. Go back there and just rock it out. And once you get good enough, then you can get on the big stages. So a lot of conferences can pay you a lot of money to get on those stages. Corporations, Fortune 500 corporations, they have money in their budgets for speakers. And it's so easy for you guys. It's so easy for us because we're doctors. So we're already experts. So we don't have to prove anything to anybody because we have those degrees. You can look them up.
Yeah, right. We have the credibility.
They're online, right? So all of us are on Google. We all have our degrees there, our MPI numbers, our license stuff. So it's very easy to look up. We're already credible, right? We're already experts.
So you gave some advice about things not to do. One was not to hire anybody. However, you have a school where you help docs get going called Medical Moguls Academy. Let's talk about that.
So Medical Moguls Academy was birthed after I had coached 76 doctors one-on-one. So I coached 76 doctors one-on-one to monetize their medical degree outside the hospital, where it's really about creating products and services for who you are. So I always start with a system: purpose, profit, freedom. So I always try to find the purpose, what the doctor's purpose is, like why are they here on this earth? Because when they're walking in their purpose, they're going to love it. So a lot of us loved medicine when we first started. We were like, this is what I want to do. This is the best thing ever. And then we get there and we're like, is this it? Really? All that education for this?
Yeah, it can definitely be that way. Yeah. I remember doing a case, oh man, it was Christmas Eve, 12-hour hand case, and they were playing Christmas music all night long. And you just start to think, hey, is this really what I signed up for?
Yeah. You make it to that point in your life and you're like, whoa. And I think it hits a lot of people like in the first year after your first year of being attending. I'll probably say like maybe 3 months in, you're like, whoa, this is not what I expected, right?
Yeah.
Then you start learning that your contract's not as good as other people, that they totally like screwed you over, right? You're a newbie to the field, so you don't know how to negotiate. You don't know your worth, basically. So when you first start, you say yes to a lot of things because you don't know your value in the world. Well, I can tell you, new attendees out there, you're going to work harder than everybody else. So you're super valuable. You're going to be running the hospital, basically. You're running the hospital. So you're super valuable, okay? So you need to know that. You need to know your worth. That's medicine. And then some people love it forever.
Right.
So some people, especially the hardcore specialties, like I'm an OBGYN, you're anesthesia, like you can burn out very rapidly.
It took me 15 years, but it did happen. And you're right. Some of the docs that I coach, actually most of them, once they get reconnected to their purpose again, they usually find their purpose back in medicine again, and then they can recommit and they can stay in medicine, but they may find that they want to branch out and do some additional things, just like you. It's not like you're not seeing patients anymore. You're still seeing some patients in concierge medicine, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but as doctors, we're very intelligent people. And we don't like routine. We like to continue to grow and learn. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that sometimes people think when you start in medicine that we were talking about before, that there's like traditional mold and that the only real doctors practice medicine and everybody else is using their medical degree and kind of faking it and doing other things. But that's not really the case. I think that people really need to broaden their idea of what a doctor is. And what a doctor is a healer. We can heal in many, many different realms, many different areas. And so to be somebody that just does one thing all the time for years and years and years, that's fine for some people. But there's so many like doctor authors and doctor speakers, and we like to teach and we like to spread what we know. Physician scientists, the same thing. So just by the nature of who we are, it's more likely than not that we're going to expand as a person in medicine. And we should, if that's what we're comfortable with.
Exactly. So, after they find their purpose in the school, then I teach them how to find profit. Several different ways that you can make money by monetizing a medical degree. So we talked about some of them: speaking, doing media. Being a media consultant can land you anywhere between $80,000 to $120,000 a year. Once you get good enough and you have a contract with the station, so you can get paid money from that. And then after we find profit, we map out their freedom, what they want to do, what their life really should look like based off of their legacy, their children, their children's children. What do you want it to look like? And it's okay to say yes to yourself and create that. So that's what we do in Academy. It's great. So they not only learn the 4 pillars of business: marketing, sales, finance, and operations, they learn about themselves. So it's a weird thing about medicine and being educated. We are in boxes. We check off these things to move to the next level. And doing those things, we forget who we really are.
Yes.
I remember looking in the mirror and I'm like, who am I? What am I here for? There's something bigger and better in me. When am I going to find it? When is it going to happen? Why am I here on this earth? Why? I know it's to heal, but it's to heal more with less. Show me the way. When is it going to show up? And it showed up. It took 3 years of working in a hardcore place for I had my accident, and I was like, okay, this is it. This is it. And actually, the first day I was there, doctors were already coming up to me. No one was on social media at the time, and I was doing my thing. And They're like, oh my God, can you teach us about this? I'm like, no, I'm just here to work. Let me work, because, I always first start, you're like, I have to get board certified, right? So you're like, don't talk to me. That was me. Like, I was like, I have to get boarded. That was like the first goal that I set for myself after when I started being a attendant.
And that makes sense.
So my students have created over, I think it's 1.8 million in revenue. Some were outside of the hospital. So I'm super proud of them. I'm proud that they say yes to themselves and yes to their family, yes to their friends, and they're able to stretch their mind. Because a lot of us are going to be stuck as doctors because of our mindset. We think we're perfect. We don't take action, but we have perfectionism paralysis. We just stand there. We sabotage ourselves all the time. We have negative thoughts. We have limiting beliefs because that's what medicine creates. So in medicine, we have to be super safe. So if it's not safe, we're not going to do it. In business, it's about risk. It's about risk. It's about being unsafe. So to get a doctor to start thinking about building this business, this 7-figure business, on something that's not safe it's scary. It's scary to do because we're used to being in the box, being in a safe place. And once we go out of that safe place, we'll get punished in medicine, right? Everything is safe. Once we step out of anything that's not safe, we get punished in some kind of way. So our brain thinks that way. So when you have to reprogram that brain to say, hey, we need to build a 7-figure business, how are we going to do it? You need to be unsafe, take risks, get out there, be imperfect, don't sabotage, no self-limiting beliefs, and just show up and show out.
So once your students find that, then they really start to pop.
It usually takes about 5 months. At the 5-month mark, that's when they kind of, okay, I'm here. I know my value. I know how to negotiate. I'm ready for this. That's when they start like changing the shape. And it's great to see. They look different. The eyes are different. The smiles are different. They dress differently. The shoulders are back because they know that they're valuable in this world.
Right. That must be really beautiful to see. You guys can't see, but Dr. Drai and I are talking on Zoom so we can see each other. And we are just cheesing at each other so big right now because we know what it's like to help our fellow doctors develop and grow.
So rewarding. I love it. I love when they tell their real story and I found out why they're really here. Because a lot of times when doctors come to me and they don't really tell me who they really are. But we know they're this and they're boarded, they're this specialty, they have all these awards. We all have a lot of awards. We all are boarded. Who are you really? Let's take off the mask. Let's take off the white coat and let's hang it up. Who are we really without that shield? Tell me. So when they become their authentic self, that's when the healing begins.
Oh, that's just beautiful. I love it. I love it. So, Dr. Drai, another area that you've become very successful in and that I'm sure the audience is really curious about is concierge medicine. So I'd love to hear about your journey into concierge medicine and what it's done for you and your patients.
So with concierge, first of all, I didn't know what it was. Never heard of it, didn't know anything about it. I got into it just by chance. One of my friends who is a stylist for a lot of celebrities, he was at this famous ball called the Met Ball. His assistant got sick. So he called me. He said, Drai, hey, can you come up and help me and be my assistant for a day? And I was on vacation. I was off, so I didn't have anything to do. And I just told him, I said, hey, can you promise to not call me a doctor? Like, I don't want anyone to know that I'm a doctor. I'm just there as your friend, and I'm Drai. Because a lot of times, you know how your friends are super proud of you, right? So when you go in any door, you're like, hey, I'm Drai. And they're like, no, this is Dr. Drai. He's America's OBGYN. He's written 3 best-selling books. He speaks all over the world, right? So, and I'm so gracious for that. And every time I hear that stuff, I like blush in my eyes, like I just blush in my heart and in my spirit. But I told him, I said, hey, dude, don't tell anyone who I am. I'm coming up there to serve you and help you in your time of need. So don't tell people who I am. So I showed up. It was a lot more work than I expected. So I had to go to all these stores to get these dresses that the girls had to try on, which I didn't even know any of this. So they're trying on all these dresses, backstage and to see like what they were going to wear to walk out on the red carpet and all this stuff. Like, I didn't know any of this stuff, okay? One of the girls got hurt, and my friend was like, oh, he's a doctor.
Oh, yeah, of course, then he
right? Oh, he's a doctor. I was like, yeah, I am a doctor, right? I looked at him, I was like, I guess, yeah, I am. So I helped her, And she became my first client because she said, hey, how can I work with you more one-on-one? I just love your personality. You're super fun, and I just like you. And mind you, this is the same girl who was giving me a hard time all night.
Oh, well.
Hurry up, get this, move this around, right? Because she was kind of like not so nice to me. But once she found out that I had this white coat shield that she didn't know I had, because I took it off. When she found out I had that shield, she was like, oh. Because even in the celebrity world, doctors are still respected. Mm-hmm. Even though they don't know what we have to go through to be a doctor, but when you say doctor around them, they're still like, oh, yeah, hello, how are you? They're still very respectful. So she, became normal.
Yes.
And that actually was my first client. And my buddy told me how much to charge. I didn't even know that, right? Mm-hmm. He was like, hey, I charge this a month to dress them. You should charge this. And I'm like, oh, okay. No idea. I started researching other concierge doctors and their model. And I said, hey, I'm going to do this on my own terms. So I actually do like home visits, right? So that works for me to fly in to see a patient because that's what they want. They really want that personal attention. They really want that privacy where they're not like walking into the hospital for every little thing or into an office where someone's taking pictures of them. So I only work off of referral. Mm-hmm. You have to know one of my girls in order for me to be your doctor. So that's one side, the Amare Concierge. So I love it. I love it. So I've actually replaced my income with just 8 patients, which is amazing. And
yeah, that is amazing.
I'm very grateful for that. And then I also contract myself out because I don't deliver babies on the Amare Concierge side. It's only GYN.
Okay.
And I do a lot of primary care as well. You get into, I have high blood pressure, pre-diabetes. You get into all this other stuff, and they only want you to take care of them, of course. But I have consultants that I call that are specialists to kind of help with the management of that celebrity patient.
Right.
So I also do like contracts with hospitals to deliver babies because I still love bringing life into the world. Still love that, right? And I still remember when I was a third-year medical student and I delivered my first baby, I cried, and I knew that's what I wanted to do. So every time I deliver a baby, it's still like a special time for me. So I still love that. So I get my fix going into hospitals doing that, but it's only on my own terms. So when I want to, how I want to.
It sounds like you created a really wonderful life for yourself that includes practicing medicine, helping other docs practice the medicine that they were born to practice, so to speak. It has been such a pleasure talking with you.
Yay! Oh my God, it's been so much fun. Thank you for having me.
Of course, you're welcome. And thank you all for listening to the Doctor's Life podcast. I hope everybody stays happy and healthy, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.
You've been listening to the Doctor's Life podcast with Draion Ansari-Winn, MD. Go to www.DraionAnsari-Winn.com to read show notes, listen to past episodes, share your comments and show ideas, and pick up your free PDF and video of easy and proven strategies that will melt your daily stress away. That's www.DIANNEANSARI-WINN.com.